So today we're going to talk about the second world. So what is the second world, you may ask? But before we get into that, what are the first and third worlds? So the first is, most people think of the developed countries, and the third as being the undeveloped countries. But that's a little overly simplistic. The third world were essentially the countries that met in the Bandung Conference in Indonesia in 1955. And many of them were just independent, and they basically said, we're not going to be aligned with the US or the Soviet Union. So at that time, the first world is really the countries that aligned with the United States. And that leaves the second world, which were the countries that fell under the USSR banner. And most of these countries in the second world were either Slavic ethnically or Turkic ethnically. And Turkic is related to those in Turkey, even though Turkey was not a part of the USSR. And the Turkic countries were Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Tajikistan is Persian ethnically, so that's not included, and Pakistan and Afghanistan weren't in the USSR. So these countries historically have not gotten along, and they haven't really collaborated in any way. A lot of this was due to efforts under the Soviet Union, particularly Stalin. Just Google Central Asia exclaves to see one of the many ways that Moscow prevented Central Asia from kind of bonding together. But anyway, this including after the breakup of the USSR, Central Asian and Turkic states, they have not really collaborated either politically, militarily, economically. This is due to their biggest trade partner was Big Brother Russia. Well, after the Ukraine invasion, a lot of these countries are beginning to second guess their relationship with their former big brother. And particularly earlier this year, Kazakhstan, the largest of the Turkic states by land area, came out and said, hey, West, we're willing to sell you energy, as Kazakhstan, they export a lot of energy. And through the CPC pipeline, which goes from Atirau to Novorossiysk, I think the town's called, in Russia, that supplies 1% of the world's global crude. Well, due to Kazakhstan coming out against Ukraine war and saying they're going to supply energy to the West, Moscow 4 times this year shut down the Caspian Pipeline consortium that ships all this pipeline to be sold to the West. And this is a huge revenue maker for Kazakhstan. I believe it's over 40% of government revenues is through the CPC pipeline. So when Russia cuts it off for political reasons, it's a big deal. So because of that, on top of the Ukraine war, a lot of the Turkic countries are saying maybe we should get along with each other for the first time ever. So recently, Azerbaijan, which is on the west side of the Caspian Sea, and Uzbekistan, which doesn't directly touch the Caspian Sea, but is on the east side, as there's the Mangistau Peninsula of Kazakhstan that's sort of blocking its direct access. Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan came together and said, let's collaborate economically, work on liberalization of our energy sectors, as traditionally they kind of followed the government-run method, as they were historically communist countries. And they're doing this to get more investment within the countries as privatization opens FDI, and also just towards economic collaboration on energy projects, which of course this has to get the indirect or direct support of Kazakhstan, which is blocking Uzbekistan directly the Caspian Sea, and could eventually maybe even result in a pipeline, which would create an alternate route that wouldn't have energy flowing through Russia. And why this is a big deal, as this has never been done before. These countries never really got along, as I said, so it'll be interesting to see going forward if they continue to move away from the Russian sphere of influence, as the Turkic states banding together. That's what it means. They're trying to get away from Moscow as quickly as they can. And on that note, not only will it be interesting to see how the Turkic states band together, but if they shift either politically towards Beijing or towards Brussels and Washington. So let me know your thoughts. Do you like this content? Is it too long? Is it too short? Let me know what I can do different.